and welcome back to the Making It podcast. We are here for episode number
50.
50. It's the big 50. 50 weeks of podcasting with my mate Dan. And I think it might be Christmas coming up the week after next. Well, anyway, Christmas is coming up. We're all pretty much, Australia is like the least Christmassy place in the entire world. But Dan, it's good to see you back, mate. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been an interesting week because I've known the whole time that I'm going home at the end of it. And I was thinking to myself about the transition of home last night, because I always get this funny feeling when I'm going back home. And, I've kind of got used to the feeling the more the years have gone by. And I think the thing is I went to Newcastle and I felt like I had gone there, and obviously naturally going to uni, independent life, new city, you're going to develop. I felt like I went there, developed, and then I had this conflict of coming home and feeling like home hadn't developed with me, which obviously it wasn't going to, because I've gone to a different place, new experience. And when I say that, I mean coming home didn't feel like I was in that environment of developing when I came back from uni. But over the years, I've realised now that home is for coming home to embrace the place where I grew up, to be back with my family, to be back with my good friends, to be working in the pub again, and just to take all that in. And I said to myself yesterday, I was like, soon you won't be coming back home to live at home for a bit. You'd be just coming back to visit. So make the most of this period of time. Make the most of a month at home. And no, it's good to be back. Straight away went to the Forest game. Good result against Spurs, 3-0. Great win. Was there with my brother and his mate. And then throughout the week, so social on Wednesday with the football lot. That was really good fun. And then it was quite a chill week, just getting uni work done. At the weekend, went to my granddad's. That was good fun. Then we went to my aunt's, had a night there because my granddad's off to Spain for a month. But it's been a fairly relaxed week, focusing on uni work, and it's not been the most action-based week, but it's been a nice one. And now I'm looking forward to life at home. But how about you, Jamie? Because I'm sure the listeners have realised that you're in a new setting.
Yeah, bro. No, I just wanted to say as well, it's so important to have those more relaxed weeks, bro. And I know that you coming home is always quite a big thing for you and almost kind of daunting as well at some points. It feels kind of nervy, like going home. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get home. Me and you were talking about that first coffee together, and we're both just agreeing that we're just going to be like freaking out that we're actually there, But this week's been hectic, bro. This week has been probably the maddest week since being in Sydney. There's been ups and downs, some pretty bad lows, some pretty awesome highs. You'll notice that I'm in a different room. I'll start off with the lovely stuff. I'm in a new room. I moved in today. It's been a bloody busy day. We had to delay the podcast by half an hour because I had to run to the shop and just get dinner. So blessed to have a new room. I'm living in the city now, 10 minutes walk from work. I've got a mini fridge. I've got Wi-Fi that sort of works. And I've got all the other bits that go along with it. So feeling good. But you'll notice I've got a plaster on my finger, and as much as you might just laugh and think it's just a small cut, I actually did quite badly knock myself up at work. I was polishing a wine glass, and I was holding the top of the wine glass and the stem with this finger, and the top of it came off. And as I slipped, the stem went through my finger and sliced it up pretty bad. And I kept working for the next 3 days, got an infection. Yesterday morning, I had to go in and have an IV infusion and get all the antibiotics into my blood. And they put the cannula in with the wrong measurement and all this, and I nearly passed out. It was a long bloody day. But I did want to have a little word about yesterday, because aside from all of that personal stuff with me, there's a lot of people that were obviously affected yesterday. Now, obviously, I live in Sydney, been living here since September. And yesterday, in our work group chat, a couple of friends were saying that there was gunshots near where they were in Bondi Beach. Okay, goosebumps, like saying this. And obviously, you don't ever know how to react to these things, because when you're at this age or a bit younger, people say things, but you never know if they're genuine. And it's hard to tell someone's tone and seriousness over the messages. But this was genuine fear that they were, that they were portraying in their text to the work chat. And, luckily all of my work friends who were there as part of the afters for our staff party, I went to the staff party, but didn't go to Bondi Beach with them because of my finger and I can't drink. Luckily they're all okay. So I'm really grateful. But obviously yesterday was one of the darkest days probably in Australian history. I think there's 16 people that have now passed away, or have been killed by these three really, 2 or 3 really just disgusting and evil people, if you can even call them that. I think that's the lightest thing you can call them. But I think from us at the Making It podcast, and I think everyone will share the sentiment as well. We just want to send our deepest condolences to everyone that's not only been lost by this, but also everyone that's been affected, because this will traumatize, generations of people living in Sydney, who will struggle to feel safe, and also just sending a lot of love to the Jewish community as well, who continue to face a lot of problems, but obviously, to be targeted on the first day of Hanukkah is terrifying. So I just wanted to say as well, on the back of everything, like, what a really horrendous kind of week it has been for Sydney. But also, I think we're all very lucky to live in a city that is also so united and together, and that will come out of this much stronger. So, just grateful for the people that I know that are safe, but obviously just really good, and heartbroken for the people that were lost yesterday. So I just wanted to say that note anyway. But Dan, obviously, as we were mentioning a little bit, I think I mentioned it yesterday, and it was a topic I kind of wanted to discuss today. We've already talked about perception a lot, but I was in a really sort of deep state of mind yesterday, thinking about kind of, how I feel about life at the moment, what the things that are stressing me out the most. And I think one thing since I've been in Australia is that I have felt more free, because naturally I think I feel more under pressure when I'm at home, because people know me more. People have perceptions of me over a longer term, and I think I worry about that. Whereas over here, no one knows me. They don't know what I used to dress like at home. They don't know who I used to date at home. They don't know anything. So I feel like I can be free. But how much of a part does other people's views on you play in your waking up routine? That sounds like a crazy thing to ask, but is it something you think about when you wake up?
Not at all, to be honest. And it's interesting why you asked that. Are you asking that because you do? I know you've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
So for me,
Sure.
to be honest, I don't really think about other people when I'm waking up. And I know you referred once to like the way you look and things like that. I think maybe when I was a bit younger, I used to. I definitely think being in a relationship with Scarlett gives me that sort of confidence to not worry as much about how I look. Because before, when I was younger and I used to be concerned with the way I looked, it was more like coming out of insecurity. Whereas when being in a relationship with Scarlett, I have that natural confidence I get from her, because like I know there's someone out there who, always thinks I look good and stuff like that, and will give me those sort of compliments and stuff. So I think having her there helps with those sort of insecurities. So I would say these days I don't get that at all, really. And obviously when I was younger, you get like a lot of spots and stuff like that, but now that's not the case. And I think looking back on those days, it's like if I were to tell my younger self, I'd just say honestly, no one cares as much, because like we spoke before, everyone's in their own heads anyway. Everyone's worrying about their own crap. It's like people aren't as bothered about how you're getting on with like how you're looking, stuff like that. But I don't think that's an easy thing to in the moments where you are feeling insecure. I don't think that's an easy thing to like understand and all of a sudden change your behaviors, because we all know these things, and I think it takes some time to really understand. But I think in terms of other people, I think the only times I really think about how other people are thinking of me is the people who I respect in my life. So a good example would be the head of football at uni, Michael, or Derek, let's say. Any of those two. When I'm coaching, if Michael's there watching, I'm thinking, what's he thinking of this session? But I'm not it's not coming out of a place of maybe there definitely is some insecurity there because I'm a bit concerned maybe I don't look as good as a coach. But I think whenever I think of how other people are thinking of me, I'm thinking, are they respecting me? Do they think I'm doing the right thing? Do they think I've got the right value? Bit of a technical issue there. Jamie's Wi-Fi cut out, but we're back. But yeah, in terms of how other people perceive me, it's often the people who I respect I'm thinking about, because especially those who are in a place where they can make decisions on where I am and my sort of work, and I care about what they think. It's not I'm worried because I care sort of thing about the people that respect me. So in terms of what other people think, that's often one of the only ones. I think personally I'm in quite a good place with, like, I'm not really too insecure about what other people are thinking of me because I'm quite confident within myself. But speak to me about the way your mind works with this stuff, because I know you sent me a couple messages the other day and you're saying it's actually something you struggle with a bit. And it's interesting, when you asked me, you specifically mentioned the morning routine. So I'm just curious, just unravel that a little bit for us. What is going on in your mind when it comes to other people's perceptions?
It's always like it is always the appearance thing, because I actually feel like my wake up routine isn't just waking up, having a shower, and that's it. My wake up routine is the first walk out of your house for me. And I always feel like in the morning and late at night, I'm walking down the street and I'm trying to mind my own business, but my brain's always curious and it's always looking at people. I'm not kind of people watching, but I'm also kind of like testing my insecurity a bit. It sounds really strange, but I'll look at someone and be like, why couldn't I look a little bit like that? In a way. Or like, I'm jealous of this feature, or I'm jealous of this. And I'm thinking, or not jealous, I'm more envious. Like I wish I had that. And then I snap myself out of it. I'm like, it's an unhealthy way of thinking. You're fine, you know. But then you relate it to other things like maybe, dating and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dan, I'm taking dating very unseriously out here, and it's just a lot of fun. So I'm not really like worried about it. But, at home, I think there was a lot of, and I think it's a general culture thing, I think, with dating. And it'd be an interesting topic for us to discuss, Dan, because we're on very different wavelengths with that, as much as we are location and education and all sorts of other things. But I feel like maybe in a way, the culture that exists, maybe some ghosting and stuff like that, has kind of given me ammo for feeling insecure and backing it up. So
Is that because you're not, when you say you walk out and you're envious of what other people have and stuff like that, is that because you're not as confident in yourself as you could be? And why is that?
yeah, I think so. I think, and again, that's why this point is so important, because I think the reason when we have an insecurity, we want to find an answer for it because we think that it fixes it, which it doesn't. And also, half the time, the answer isn't really the deep meaning. So for me, like when I'm like, okay, well, I'll just blame the reason I'm insecure is because of dating. But that's the problem. Date's gone wrong, ghosting, someone making a nasty comment, like that is the reason. But deep down, I know it's not. And maybe I don't necessarily know the exact answer, but I know that that's not the answer. So I do think I lack a bit of confidence in myself, but it depends on the situation. And it feels strange to say that actually once I've had a drink, that's when I feel most confident and I don't have this problem. So what that tells me is, A, it's not good that it should take me a drink to get the confidence out, but also B, it exists. And that's where you can have those two perspectives, which is so, I think, important to have in life, because you could see your confidence coming out when you have a certain thing as bad and a dependence, but also you can see it as I can train myself out of that to get this? You know what I'm saying? I don't have a straight answer for why I'm not as confident at times, but it's something that I would love to work on.
It's an interesting one because I think back to what I was on about earlier was when I was a younger lad and I felt those sort of emotions. And I think a lot of the insecurities when I was younger was related to what you're saying. Before I was with Scarlett, related to dating and stuff like that. You kind of get your validation from, the attention of others. And, if a person's single and, they're talking to someone, if they get ghosted, like you say, that kind of makes you feel really insecure. Whereas if you're getting a lot of attention from someone, it gives you that sort of confidence. And I know when I was younger and a lot of my mates were sort of getting that and I wasn't, I felt quite insecure about it. It was one of my big things I didn't really like. I didn't like the topic coming up because I didn't really have anything to contribute. And it is since I've been with Scarlett where I just have that confidence now because I know she believes in me and she feels a lot of good things about me. So it's quite interesting how, as much as I'm saying, my confidence, I always talk about confidence coming from within. There are external things that do give you that confidence, and I think that's why in your sort of perceptions of other people, you don't have, when you're in a relationship, you have that everyday validation, right? Someone's telling you that they love you, and that's that everyday validation you're getting. And I don't particularly like the word validation because that isn't what it really is. It's just loving, but it does give you that sort of validation of, okay, there's someone out there who feels that way about me. Whereas when you are single and you're in that sort of dating era and it's like you're not getting that, you sort of seek that, and then when you don't get it, it's like, oh, do I look bad, or like what's it about me? You start questioning yourself, and it's like, and I went round to my neighbour's, Sergio he's called, the other day. I'd love for you to meet him, because our washing machine was leaking into his flat below. And I ended up spending about an hour there, had a cup of tea with him. But what was really interesting is he'd wrote a lot of stuff for his daughters, on random books. He'd just wrote on all the empty spaces of the paper. He'd wrote like letters to his daughters and saying a lot of stuff about happiness and how to be happy and sort of values he wants them to like take on board in their life. And something he mentioned and he was very clear about was pure happiness and joy comes from within. It starts from when you wake up, like you're talking about that morning routine. You wake up and from within, you feel grateful to be alive. You feel happy and it's coming from within yourself. And I find it interesting how you're talking a lot about, you wake up in the morning, you walk down the street, or I'm envious of what they're wearing, I'm envious of how they look. You're seeking something from the outside. And I'll use your same quote. You can't compare yourself because not everyone's on a level playing field. But that sort of external factors for happiness is a never-ending loop, dark hole loop. You'll never be happy if you're always finding things from the external. And it's a journey which certain things in your life, I feel, kind of add up to make you feel happy from within. It's not something you can just click your fingers and you start to feel happy from within. It's a journey. It's that making it journey we always talk about. But I think if you just start looking more from within when it comes to yourself and your confidence, and you start understanding those feelings, and when you do feel good, where's that coming from, and not looking so much from the external and being confident with who you are, I feel like that journey of confidence is slightly easier. Do you see where I'm coming from?
You know what, Dan, as well is that I think I need to be put in the more challenging situation to really see myself evolve. I think that's why, moving to a new place, living with quite a few people, in a large shared house is so important for me because I need to experience this different challenge. And, I am without Deck now. Obviously, he's still in Sydney. We're still going to see each other every now and then, and he goes home next month. But I think in order for something to evolve, there has to be a change in environment because that's the basis of evolution, right? The reason that fish developed legs because of the evolution theory was because, food is easier to get on land or whatever reason, right? And the reason that you evolve as a person is because your environment changes and it's all about adaptation. Why do you evolve? When you move to a new city, why do you start looking over your shoulder more? It's a new place. You have to. You got to be more secure. And then from that, there's an extra layer of person that's added. Someone who's a bit more street smart. These places and these things shape you. And I feel that now I'm in this new environment. I'm going to go out more and I'm going to be a lot more independent, because even when I'm living with Dec, I'm not fully independent. You know what I mean? Now that I am just on my own, in my own room with people I don't know at all, this is the bit where I'm like, okay, independence fully. And maybe in a way I'm always searching for that next massive challenge for me. But I feel, like I said to you earlier, I feel really good. And I have felt confident today. But I'll always be open about things that irk me. And the what has irked me is a little bit is my issues with confidence. But I do also believe that because I've seen situations where my confidence comes out and I feel good, I know I can tap into that. I'm just trying to find out ways of doing it. Going to the gym, giving myself validation and boosting my own ego is, and I'm going to use that word ego, is important to me. It's important. I don't mean boosting, bless you. I don't mean boosting my own ego as in like being an arse, but I mean like giving myself reasons to be proud of myself and sometimes to show it off. I think we need that as humans, because I know there's people that are like, I just don't need to post anything I do. But like, as human beings, I do believe there is that little necessity where they're like, I just want to share something I've done. It makes me feel good. And even though I don't share me going to the gym, because I've always said that the day I post a mirror picture is the day I stop going to the gym, because it stops becoming about me and it's more about someone else. Like, I need to be in an environment where I'm doing these things because it makes me feel good, makes me feel validated from myself, and it makes me feel like I'm busy. And yeah, I've felt a bit of discontent being out where I was, Dan. I didn't feel like I was properly experienced in Sydney, man, but fuck, man, I feel so good with this, and I really do, now that I'm here, I want to attack my problems right at the stem of the issue, confidence and anything like that.
I wanna set you a challenge for this new place you're in, and it's
Okay.
not an easy thing because it's vulnerable. But with these 10 other people you're living with, can you try and find a deeper connection with these people? Can you be open about these sort of things you're talking to me about with these people? Because as soon as you're more open with other people about yourself, all of a sudden it's almost like when you're going out and you're worried about how people are perceiving you, it's like you've got this closed wall between you and others. You're worried about what they're thinking. You're thinking about, how they look and stuff. As soon as you start becoming more open with people, and that starts from the people closest around you, you feel more fluid with other people. You feel more connected to a random person you see in the street because you've got a connection to people. So I challenge you to try open with it's hard because it's very difficult, but be vulnerable with these people around you. Be open. If you're not feeling too good, just maybe let someone know. It's not easy because you've just met them, but just over the course of the time you're living with them, see if you can build that sort of deeper connection. But episode 50, Jamie, I thought with it being 50 episodes, I think we should at least reflect a little bit. And I just wanted to say, what has doing this podcast meant to you, and how do you feel like it's changed you and developed you as a person?
I think the podcast has given me an idea of what my principles are and what my values are. I think it has helped me understand more about myself and also about you, Dan, um, which is really important. It's added a new dimension to our friendship. It's added a new pressure in some ways. It's added a new joy in something we speak about, and it's also given us a reason to talk, bro, when we are quite a distance away. So as much as it has been just a podcast to someone else, to us, it's actually been a phone call once a week. It's been a FaceTime once a week for 30, 40 minutes, and that's really important for my mental health. But the podcast has brought us closer together. It's taught me a lot about my own values. It's taught me to be more open, and I'm very lucky that I've got a lot of friends now because of work and other things in Sydney. And, I feel like this podcast has been a reason for me just being like, you know what, I am just going to speak to that random person. I met someone at a flat viewing last Monday, and, and they are now, I would consider them a friend, and I'm helping them find somewhere to live. Great lad from up in Liverpool. And, you just meet these random people. I think the podcast has pushed me to be a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit more confident in speaking to people. And just overall, I think it's been nice to produce content that I truly align with. From my own media or career point of view, this is something, and this is a project that I truly align with, truly put time into, and truly believe will do well. And I think when you find something that you're passionate about, that is the most exciting thing ever. And to share it with your best mate, I think is creme de la creme, mate. Creme de la creme. How about you?
I think the key thing for me, which is what you mentioned at one point, was being more open. I think doing this podcast, speaking to different people, hearing other people's perspectives on our episodes, just the whole idea of it has made me more open. And Sergio said to me the other day that the Romans used to, when they were on their empire, they'd go to a place and they'd say, "We'll teach you what we know, and then you teach us what you know." And it sounds so simple, but isn't that how we should go about life? We'll let you know what we think about things, and you can let you know what you think about things. Let's be open. Let's both discuss, and let's not be closed off to each other. Let's develop together. Me and you have developed together doing this podcast. I hope the listeners developed with us from this podcast. It's brought up loads of different conversations. It's tested us each week to think about a deeper thing to talk about each week. It's given us a natural way for me and you to catch up, of course, like you say, to talk every week, especially with the distance. But it's also then it's forced us to naturally reflect each week. And I hope for the listener, it's made them reflect on some of the things we've spoke about. And I think that impact that we can make through doing an episode every week, through the various people that listen each week, the regulars, the ones that dip in and out, the ones that have listened to one episode, like if there's some form of impact, that's what it's all about, right? If we can speak about the things we're learning and we can speak about the things we think are important, maybe it'll make other people embody that in their own lives. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think that question mark, I always refer to that question mark in our podcast title, but I think that's grown to be a massive thing. I think the moment we first made it, it was just the idea of everyone's got a different journey. Making it is different to everybody. And I think from the minute we kind of made that idea, it's quite interesting how much that's grown to be such a topic we've spoke about being open-minded, about understanding other people's perspectives. And I think it's something I've really been taking on in my life, is putting myself in other people's shoes, trying to understand other people's context, not letting myself feel like other people need to behave the way I am, because we're all different people. And I just think for me, it shaped me even more as a person, and I'm grateful to do it with you, bro. And I agree, it's definitely developed our friendship in a different way. And it's cool because sometimes projects like this can make or break a friendship. So I think it's quite ironic it's called Making It, because it has made it more.
Yeah,
And I guess we've already kind of touched on it, but what's probably like the key thing you're most grateful for from doing the podcast?
the lessons, that we've learned. I think, like you said about the Romans, I think we're learning from each other, and we're learning from other people that have not only come on the podcast, but people that listen, perspectives. We're learning from values. We're learning from perspectives. We've met some of the listeners, people who I never thought would listen to this podcast or a podcast at all have listened. That's special to me, because that means that they not only listen to it because they're our friend, they've listened to it because they're genuinely interested. And I like that. Even if you don't like our podcast, the fact you've listened and your interest has been tempted, I'm glad. That's what we want to do. We don't want to just tempt your interest. We want to bring you on a journey with us, and you can take what you want from it. That's the whole point of the podcast, is not for me and Dan to teach you how to think. or how to love someone or how to love something, to be passionate, to deal with insecurity. None of that. We're just telling you that we're a bit insecure, how we deal with it. You know, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how I go dating and all the rest of it. I think you can do that yourself. But
Maybe we'll have a special episode one day.
Well, that'll be a very special episode. Barry White in the background. But the whole point is, it's not. This isn't a lecture. This is a group discussion. And although your voice, we can't hear it, we understand other people's perspectives. And I kind of wanted to talk about a little note that I like to keep with me, Dan. Do you remember this note? It says safe travels.
Of course.
He says, I love you, brother, Dan. And, I keep this message, and there's one from my mum as well. And I keep it everywhere with me. And I think that to have gone from not really talking much in school, bro, to talking as much as we do, that piece of paper is probably one of the most valuable things other than my passport I've got with me. I don't dare leave. I lost it earlier and I was like, where is it? Where is it? And I was searching and I remembered I left it in one of my books and I picked it out and I put it in my drawer here. But like I say, bro, I'm most proud of the lessons that it's taught us. But I just want to say that on a friendship level, bro, it is really, this has blossomed into one of a couple of friendships that I have in my life where I'm like, this is everything to me. And I can talk to you about anything, bro. I actually don't think that there's anything I've wanted to tell you that I haven't told you. I think you genuinely know pretty much everything that I've wanted to tell you ever in my life and my secrets.
So, yeah, and I share that, bro. I share that with you. And I think that's been awesome for us to go through and experience, and it's only going to grow. And I hope the conversations we have for those that are listening means that with their friendships and their relationships, they can be more open with each other. Because there's a lot of friendships which are just on a surface level, people meet up and they chat about, the standard stuff. But what about the deeper stuff? What about the things you're actually really bothered about? The things that are bugging you every day? Speak to your best mate about that. If your best mate is going to judge you for it, they ain't your best mate, and it's as simple as that. So I hope we've also encouraged other people to be more open in their relationships, and I think that's the beauty of it. Just as you said, we share our experience for others to take on board and take into their own life, and that's what it's all about. Like the Romans say, we'll try to teach you what we know, and you can teach us what you know. So anyone who's listening right now, if you're listening to the biggest episode 50, drop us a comment, drop us a message, an email, makingitpod@gmail.com, and if you fancy it, let us know what you've learned from the 50 episodes. It'd be great to hear what you've got to say. But yeah, Jamie, I'm proud of it, man, and I love you, brother.
I love you, bro. I'm proud of this. I'm proud of you. And for the person listening, I'm proud of you. I want this to be a very personal message. I'm proud of you. I love you. Not only, I think it's really it's hard sometimes because people get so lost in the amount of viewers you have and the amount of listeners. And I will just say, I think that from a listening perspective, I think our numbers have got better. I think more people are listening. But what's really important is you, because you listening doesn't make this happen, which sounds like a strange thing to say. Because me and Dan are always going to talk. But the dimension that you add to this is that, as like I said, it becomes almost a round table, a group discussion, and a place where people can foster ideas, people can share their insecurities, people can share their issues, and you don't fix them, you talk about them. The modern world needs people to talk more. It needs people to communicate more because everyone's got concerns and there's a lot of people that feel unheard in this world. And one thing that I'd love this podcast to do, and that we absolutely do, is to make people feel heard, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you are. And I'm well and truly proud that we've created a platform that does that, Dan. So I think we should give ourselves a pat on the back. And you as a listener, no matter how long you've been listening, should give yourself a pat on the back, not just for listening to the podcast, but for continuing to have the good values you have, to keep talking, and to want to understand your own journey through ours. So I've given mine a pat. You give yours a pat. 50 episodes of the Making It podcast. Do not miss the next 50. Don't miss the next one. Don't miss the next 100. Just don't bloody miss them. Every single Tuesday at 10 in the morning. Dan? Good talking to you.
Okay, everybody. Episode 50.